Hey guys, welcome back to class. So today we're going to cover some Sinawali variations, but first let's get started with a warm-up. So we're going to start off with our reverse triangle, just like this. Remember, the point of the triangle is towards the back, so the X that we're going to each time is towards the back. I want you getting that back foot off of that X every time. Now, when I refer to the X, it's where both feet meet, right? This is my X. And I get off that X each time. Keep going. I want you to stay nice and loose. You don't have to go super fast so that you're getting out of breath already, but I do want you to warm up a little bit. Stay kind of in a lower stance. Don't come up each time. And I don't want you spending a lot of time on that X, right? Go right through it. Don't stay here and then go. Blast right through it as you go off to that next angle. Turn their shoulders as you do it. Shoulders go one way and then the other way. One way, then the other way. So a few more times. All right, so now we're gonna go and we're gonna do our forward triangle. Remember, point of the forward or point of the triangle is pointed forward, forward triangle. Again, I want you to try to get off of that X as you do this. Change the way that your shoulders are facing whenever you're doing this. And now there's different ways that you would be doing this for different scenarios, right? I'm teaching right now in a Kali class, but I also do this in a Taekwondo aspect, and it's a little bit different. It looks more like this, right? Different reasons for doing it, and they counter different things. So right now, we're just focusing here, turning the hips. That way we can pop the hips back. Orientate that way, boom, so we can pop the hips whenever we need to. A few more, try to get off that X. Go right through it, don't spend a lot of time in it. All right, now the next thing we're gonna do is we're going to do our triangle footwork again. I know, all of the triangles. So we're gonna start off, let's put our left leg in front, bring the left leg towards the right, off to the side, back to the front, right where the other leg is, but now we switch sides. In, and now, I like to think of this as slipping off to the side, so I tuck my shoulder towards the front, and I go again towards the front. I go back, now my left leg's gonna step out, my right shoulder is gonna tuck, and then change again. So we're changing our shoulder or torso position as we're doing this. Don't stay rigid with the arms, let them flow. You can let it drop down a little bit as you do this, right? You might have been taught by your boxing coach not to let it drop down as you slip. It's all right. If you want to do that, you can. But for right now, it's just a warm up. Just get that pattern down, turning as we do. A few more. Now for me, the most important part is this part, 1, 2. This coming back part, not so much. The more applicable portion is that portion right there. So that's what I want you to really put the focus on, is slip off to the side, enter in. Come back, slip off to the side, enter in. Back, up to the side, enter in. All right, let's go ahead and do some arm circles forward. And backwards. Really opening the chest up with each one of these. Point your hands up, palms up to the sky, thumbs pointed backwards, and open it up. Front twist. Here I always try to get a few pops as I do it. This makes me feel a little better. If you can't though, it's all right. Go ahead and at this point, raise the back heel as you turn one way, raise that back heel. Helping get that pattern down of turning. Side bends. One way and then the other way. All right, so I want you to go ahead and pick up 2-6. We're going to recap what we did last class, which was our Sinawali. So we're just gonna do right now heaven without any sort of footwork. So starting here, right hand on top, left hand on bottom, right cuts through, left cuts through, right strikes, and bounce back. Now I'm hoping that you're practicing this not only following these classes, but also practicing a little bit on your own. So that way I'm not having to go 1, 2, 3, super slow motion. At this point, I would be happy if you had practiced it a little bit more, and now you can flow a little bit more with this because I want to advance on, right? So if you're not quite there yet, try to practice a little bit more in between so you can get these concepts down and I can advance with every class. All right, so cut through, strike and bounce back. Cut through, strike and bounce back. Now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna add our footwork into it. So let's start off right side chamber, so right hand on top, left foot in front, step back with the left as you strike with the right, step off with the left to the side as you strike with the left, cutting through, and strike with the right, and come back. Now, as you come back, strike with the other side, left, right, left, right strikes, left strikes, right strikes, back, left strikes as the right comes in, right strikes as the right goes out, left strikes as the left goes forward. Back, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, so we're gonna stay in the same position, right side chambered, and now we're gonna do standard. Same thing. So 1, strike down low with the left, 2, high with the right, 1. 1, 2, strike low with the right as the right steps, 3, step forward, strike high with the left. And now we're gonna step back, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. These mosquitoes everywhere, always. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Keep the pattern going. One more. Stop here. Now we're gonna do low. So same thing, but now all the strikes are going low. We're doing earth. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now if you're able to flow a little bit more, I would like that. Sometimes I just mess up when I go slow, right? Especially here, I'm like, okay, well, I'm just gonna come back, and now it doesn't work with the footwork pattern anymore. So just try to flow with this as best as you can. If you can still, try to work on changing the angles of those hips. 1, hip off to the side, hip towards the front, all right? Change the angles of these hips as you do this. A few more. All right, so I might have talked about this last time. I might have forgotten. I don't know. All right, so I'm telling you to go hand and foot, hand and foot, hand and foot at the same time. It doesn't have to be like that, right? This is a way for me to teach it to you, but if you start adding a lot more of these and they're not quite synchronized, that's okay, because eventually I want your feet doing their own thing while the hands are doing their own thing too, right? They should be able to do completely separate things. They don't have to be synchronized, although the synchronization can help when you want powerful strikes. So be aware of that. Powerful strikes usually causes for synchronization. Sometimes the most powerful strike is not what you need. Sometimes it's the footwork and the distance that you need, right? So be aware of your situation. It's always going to be different. Keep that in mind. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to cover a different variation of Sinawali. The pattern's very similar. We start off the same way. It's still going to be a 3 count or 6 count Sinawali. 3 count on one side, 6 count to do the entire both arms. So this is frequently referred to as the umbrella pattern for Sinawali. The only difference is really going to be on that first hand. So the right hand, starting here, is going to strike through, and now as we get it over to our left side, do what I had showed you before. I think it was the first class, where the arm just comes up and around, right? So this is what it's going to look like. Let me just go ahead and show that. So I'm striking 1, and now as 2 comes out, I'm bringing this up and around. And now as 2 starts to come back for that chamber, 3 comes here. So at this point, we have no bouncing back. The entire pattern is all cut throughs. So first one cuts through. As the second one comes around, I'm basically kind of doing like a high block here, traditional Taekwondo high block, but then it goes around behind the back, and then we strike again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, pattern is very similar. All of them are cutting through, and you can do this at the same time, right? So if I wanted to do this standard Sinawali, right, or the Heaven 6 Sinawali, the most basic pattern, you could also go here. Right, so keep that in mind. We can mix these up, let your partner know what you're gonna do. whenever you decide to mix them up, but they're able to go from one to the other pretty easily. This one though doesn't have any sort of a bounce back like the other one did. It's all around, so they're all moving towards the same direction. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, all the same direction. 3. Keep going with this pattern. All right, hopefully you have that pattern down. I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. Now we're gonna go back to our heaven 6, just the standard pattern. 1, 2, bounce back. Cut through, bounce back. Cut through, bounce back. Do this along with me. Cut through, bounce back. Now we're noticing how first two are moving one direction and the last one moves from the other direction. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now go back to umbrella. Heaven 6 for umbrella pattern. 1, 2, 3. Pay attention. Now all of them move in the same direction, all 3. There's no opposite direction for our third one. Bring it around the head. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 3. Keep the pattern going. Okay, so we're not adding any legs or hips or anything in this right now. We're just going to go from heaven 6 umbrella pattern to standard 6 umbrella pattern. So it's going to look like this: high line, low line, high line. Pretty simple, same thing, right? High line, low line, high line. High line, bring it around, low line, bring it around and through, strike. High line, low line, high line. Try to still be aware of your blade edge orientation. Try to make it through that center with a good blade edge. After you make it through your center line, then you can flip it over. 1, strike low, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Do this along with me. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Let's do a few more, and then guess what? We're gonna go to earth. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, and one more. 1, 2, 3 on each side. 1, 2, 3. All right, so that was standard 6 umbrella pattern. Now we're going to go to our earth 6 umbrella pattern. So strike 1, bring it around as 2's going, and 3. Get away from me, mosquito. 1, 2, 3. And when I do this one, I do like to turn the hips all moving. So I'm kind of putting it, instead of 1 strike, 2 strike, 3 strike, where I pop the hip back, I kind of move with these, and my third one would usually be my most powerful one. 1, 2, 3. Especially if I'm practicing it slowly, I just practice turning the hips. Hips finish turning as that third strike goes. All 3 of these are low. 1, 2, 3. Okay, now since you're awesome and you know all this, let's go ahead and make it a little bit harder. Heaven, standard, earth, umbrella pattern. All right, you got this. So I'll talk it through. I'll tell you high, 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 low, low, low. All right, ready? But it's that same pattern, that umbrella pattern. High line, heaven, high, high, high. High, high, high. Standard. High, low, high. High, low, high. Earth. Low, low, low. Low, low, low. Heaven. High, high, high. High, high, high. Standard. High, low, high. High, low, high. Earth. Low, low, low. Low, low, low. Heaven. 2, 3. All of these are high. Standard. High, low, high. High, low, high. Earth. Low, low, low. Low, low, low. Cool. You've got that down now. If you don't, well, pause the video, get it down so we can go on to the next thing. All right? We don't have time to wait. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do our triangle pattern footwork. So triangle, not reverse triangle or forward triangle. How do I still have mosquitoes on me? I have so much bug spray on me. So much bug spray on me. But there's still So many mosquitoes. This is crazy. I'm gonna be so itchy. You guys are welcome for this, man. I'm gonna be so itchy because of this one. All right, so what was I saying? Triangle pattern. Let's do it. So we're gonna start off left foot in the front, right side chamber. Starting with heaven. 1 as the foot comes in. 2 as the foot goes out. 3 as the foot goes forward. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. There's still so many. 1, 2, 3. All right, so now let's go ahead and let's add in standard. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. There was not this many like 10 minutes ago, I swear. Okay, so standard, let's go to earth. Ready? Start here. Earth. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Pick up the speed a little bit. All right, so now that we've done all of those, and we did a few of them, we're gonna do heaven, standard, earth, all with the triangle pattern footwork, umbrella pattern, Sinawali. Ready? Starting here. Heaven, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Standard, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Earth, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Again, heaven, high, 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 high. Standard, high, low, high, high. Oh, on the way back. Low, high. Earth, low, 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 low. Heaven, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Standard, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Earth, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right, so now this one might feel a little bit weird for you because that third step, right? 1 step, 2 step, 3 step. Now we're coming this way with it. Instead, before we kind of pushed our hips out, right? So I talked about the triangle pattern before, going one way with the hips, going the other way with the hips. And that correlated with boom, boom, right? For our normal Sinawali pattern. So now it's a little bit different though, because now we're ending, we have our first step here, second here, but now we're not coming this way for it. So it makes it weird if our hips are turned this way and then we're coming back this way. So change your timing with the steps a little bit if you want to add a little bit more hips to it. It doesn't have to be this way. I can have it where now I'm going here, boom, and I'm stepping in and having that strike. So instead of pushing my hips this way, 1, 2, and now I'm just stepping from here to here and not twisting that way. If I want to slow it down, I can do that second strike, come here, and then twist it to have even more power to it. But you might not be able to have that time. It depends really on how you're using this, right? You might not go one way and then the other. So I want you to, again, play around with it. These patterns are really just for practice, right? It's really just to help you get coordinated and then do however you want to do it, right? So again, I'm going to tell you little rules and little things that you should try to abide by, but when you break them, it doesn't matter. If it works, it works. Just keep that in mind, all right? So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do roof. So it's going to be a roof block pattern with our Sinawali. Make sure I don't have any more of them on me. All right, so no footwork on this one. Just stand here, strike 1, and now as 2 comes out. So on this one, I want you to strike past about 45 degrees past your center line. We're not bringing it all the way over to this position here. All right, so we're going here, and then we're going to strike 2 as we cross, we're making this X. Blocking up with the roof as we strike out, and then we strike again. So it's very similar, and it's the same pattern almost as our roof, or not our roof, our umbrella, excuse me. So here, here, here. So this pattern looks like this. 1, 2, 3. So it's kind of like a broken pattern, right? So instead of cutting through with that first one, I'm doing more of a broken step or a broken strike. And now I'm gonna strike out again. And I usually have this one as a broken one also, and then strike through. Now, the way that I see this one is I'm here and I'm just clearing a strike. So if a strike is coming down at me, I'm initial block here, and then I'm clearing it with the other hand, right? So if I'm starting with my right chamber, strike, block up with the right as I clear their weapon with the left, and then strike again with the right. So this one's not all strikes. Strike, block, strike. And you'll see this block again when we start doing our sombrada patterns, right? Our attack defense patterns. You'll start to see this one a lot more. It shows up a lot. But here, come back, pointing up, striking through. All right, so let's go ahead. Let's practice this one. Right hand chamber, right side chamber, right hand strikes. Again, go about 45 degrees past that center line. Roof block up, so we're going to raise our elbow up and out towards the outside as we retrace in towards us a little bit. And the other hand, left hand now, is crossing and clearing, and then we're going to strike. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the other side. Left hand strikes, go about 45 degrees past the center line. Raise that elbow up as you turn the wrist out. Palm starts to face outwards. Strike, or clear, excuse me, and then strike again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Strike, clear, strike. Strike, clear, strike. 1, raise up, clear, strike. Strike through that, 45 degrees past. Again, I'm creating this X. I'm imagining that their weapon is hitting right here, see where my head is, on that portion of the X, and I'm clearing it out. All right, so it's hitting down, I'm deflecting it, boom, passing it out, striking through. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Strike, elbow up, clear, strike again. All right, so if you're paying attention to me, you might have noticed I'm doing a little bit of a reverse, or not a reverse, a forward triangle footwork pattern. So I'm striking here, I'm stepping back as I clear this, and then I'm striking again. All right, 1, 2, 3. I'm not quite going with every step as a strike or a block, but I am moving on this pattern. The reason I like to do this is because I like to strike one, maybe I'm stepping back and striking, boom, and then I'm moving my body back, because whenever you're sparring, blocks are secondary, footwork is primary. If I don't want to get hit by something, I should just not be in the area where they're hitting, right? If my opponent is here, I can hit them. If my opponent is out here and I can't hit them, well, I can't hit them, right? Keep that in mind. Don't be where the strike is. But sometimes we're just not fast enough, because that's pretty fast, right? So sometimes we're in that space, so we're moving back, but we have to put something there to deflect their weapon, or we still run the risk of getting hit. So the block is the secondary movement, but I'm striking, boom, I'm blocking as I'm moving back, and then striking again. 1, 2, 3. So I practice this on this footwork pattern. 1, 2, 3. Just because it's a way to practice moving, right? It doesn't have to be set. But I would like you to practice it on a forward triangle footwork pattern, right? So let's go ahead, let's step back, strike, turn the hips back, strike, and then strike through. Now we're gonna come up, stepping out, 1, turn the hips back as we clear, 2, right? Step, turn the hips, boom, turn the hips back. And now when I do this, I usually do retract a little bit. That's kind of where I retract the foot, and then strike again. 1, 2, 3. And now just kind of flow. If you want, you can focus on really having the good striking mechanics on this, or you can just practice getting this pattern down. Now, one thing, and I make this mistake as well, especially if you're doing this with another person doing Sinawali, right? Because this isn't actually blocking anything when you're doing a Sinawali pattern. Sometimes you'll mix it between a roof and an umbrella, right? And you'll start to kind of mix it and not really get the good idea of what this pattern is trying to teach us, right? So make sure that this block is out in front of you, not here, not blocking too much over here. It's out in front of us, right, as we do this. Again, sometimes you might, especially after just doing roof, you might start to go here and think about blocking here. Now, this would be more of an umbrella block, right? Blocks patterns off to that side, but this one we're thinking about roof. Roof comes straight down. Umbrella is more off to the side, blocking in that manner. These are oh shit kind of blocks, right? So boom, here, straight through. But just know which one you're doing. Right now we're doing roof, which means our block is out in front of us. From a direct front position, the tip should be off to the side, right? So I'm holding up in my right hand, which means the tip should be off to my left, about in line with my left shoulder. I don't want it here, all right? Something coming straight down, not gonna block. It's gotta be angled off to that as I clear and then strike. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Get this pattern. Again, I'm not as concerned about the footwork, but if you're there, I would like you to work on the footwork. But make sure that block is out in front of you and that tip and angled off about in front of that shoulder as we're doing that. 2, 3. Strike, back, strike. All right, now we're gonna run through these next 2 pieces, but we can do this in standard and earth, right? So I can strike 1, 2, 3. Now this one, I'm not clearing, right? Because I would be clearing in my high lines, but because my second strike is now down to the knee level, I'm not actually clearing with this one. I'm striking. This is still blocking just in case. Block the head as you strike for the leg, and then strike through. Strike high line, boom, get to that point, bring it back, strike low line with the other hand, and then strike again. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. High line, low line, high line. High line, low line, high line. I went to a roof or an umbrella there. Make sure it's still a good roof block. I make mistakes, which means you're making mistakes. Unless you've been doing this for a long time, then, well, thanks for watching these beginner videos. Appreciate it. Let me know. Here, here. High, low, high. All right, so we did high, low, high. Again, run through this part. Low, low, low. Earth. Let's do earth pattern. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. So you keep practice that. I'm gonna just talk for a little bit. Right. So one thing that I do like about this, even though we are striking low and blocking high, we're not clearing now. I do like this because a lot of the time, if you're sparring, people will usually expose themselves to attack the leg, especially whenever they kind of drop in or lunge forward. I've seen this a lot, and I've seen a lot of the counters are really just kind of this boom, step back and crack to the head, all right, as you do that. It's a really good counter for defending that low line strike because a lot of people do expose the head, but this at least practices striking and blocking, all right? So I'm blocking up high as I'm striking low, so I'm kind of covering that open target, which is usually pretty open whenever people are doing a low line strike. So just keep that in mind. I like that application of it, right? All right, so the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna do another Sinawali pattern. This one is called reverse Sinawali. Right? So we're not going to start in this chambered position here. We're going to flip it over here. So we're going to start on our right side. Right hand is now low, palm up, just like I'm about to do a 3. Right? I'm going to do an angle 3. I'm low. Now my left hand is going to be across and putting it right on the bicep, below the shoulder, on that bicep area, right? So we're going to strike with the right first. So pattern's going to be the same. We're going to do our normal Sinawali pattern, right? So cut through, bounce back. But now we're starting here. We're going to do the same. Arms are striking though. Right hand strikes, left hand strikes. Now right hand strikes from the bottom and comes on top as we now chamber onto the other side. 1, 2, cut through, strike and bounce back, chambering low. Right hand strikes, left hand strikes, right hand strikes and bounces back. 1, cut through, 2, cut through, 3, bounce back. Now just make sure when you're doing this, you don't drop the second arm too fast and get your stick stuck. If you do, you have to pull it out here and then strike, but I want you to think of it like a blade, and we don't want to just sit there and cut our brachial plexus, right? Not something we want to do. So starting here, reverse Sinawali pattern, right hand, left hand, right hand strikes, and now the right hand goes on top. Left hand strikes, cut through, right hand strikes, cut through, left hand strikes on top. 1, 2, 3, bow on top. Left hand, right hand, left hand on top. Left hand, or right hand cut through, left hand cut through, right hand bounce back. Left hand cut through, right hand cut through, left hand bounce back. Right cut through, left cut through, bounce back. 1, 2, 3. Again, the pattern is exactly the same as here, right? I'm just starting in this position instead of starting in this position. That's why it's reverse. It's just this. It's the only difference. But the hand's moving, this exact same pattern's moving. So you should be able to pick this up relatively quickly. It's a little bit tricky at first. Just flow with it. Try to get to that point where you can flow with it. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Now if you want to start adding some footwork pattern, you can do, again, that triangle footwork pattern as we're doing this. Start here. 1, 2, 3. And because we are coming with the hip to that side, this one does feel better to do on this pattern. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. Play around with it. If you're not quite there, adding footwork, just get that pattern. But I do want you to make sure that you are cutting through that center line before you flip over. All right, so don't go here where you get to the center with the hand and then the wrist flicks and you're just hitting with that flat edge of the blade. Don't do that. 1, 2, 3. Practice this pattern. Now, if you have a partner, do this with your partner. Practice these. These are really fun with the partner. Have one person calling out them and do it. You know, have them say umbrella standard, right? And then you do umbrella standard. Boom, boom, boom. Umbrella earth. 1, 2, 3. Earth heaven. 1, 2, 3. Or earth heaven. That's not a thing. Roof heaven. 1, 2, 3. All right, so have somebody sit there and call out, and then have the other person sit there and call out. It makes, you both have to think, you're both gonna make mistakes, and you get a good laugh out of it, right? I just made a mistake too. You can make mistakes, laugh about it, have fun, but try to do this with a partner. Try to find somebody. If they don't know it, they didn't watch this video with you, and they don't want to watch this video with you, one, tell them to watch this video. Just do it.
Just do it!
Teach them, right? I learned by teaching. One of the reasons why I'm doing this. You're going to learn if you try to teach them too. So if you watch these videos, practice it, learn it, and then go teach it to somebody else, and then have them practice with you. Now you have a person to practice with, and you got even better because you had to teach it. So do that, right?
Just do it!
One stick down. I'm going to grab my sparring stick. My sparring stick's a little bit bigger, and it's taped. That's why it's my sparring stick. All right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to practice moving forward and moving backwards while striking angles 1 through 4. All right, so I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna start in a square position. I'm gonna step first And all of these I'm gonna zigzag, right? I can go in a straight line as I'm doing these, but I wanna practice zigzagging because I wanna put a little bit of hips into it. Play around with it. If you wanna practice just moving forward and doing this, nothing wrong with that either. If you wanna practice zigzagging like me, go ahead and do that also. Squared stance, starting off here. I'm gonna step with my left at a 45-degree angle, strike 1. I'm gonna step with my right at a 45-degree angle, strike 2. Step with the left, 45, strike 3. Step with the right, 45, strike 4. Now, in position here, I'm going to strike 1 coming down. So I'm not actually stepping with this one, I'm just turning my hips. I'm gonna step back, 2. I'm gonna step back at that 45-degree angle, 3. Step back, 4, right? And now I'm gonna stay here. And now I'm gonna put a little bit of a press with this one. So instead of just turning in place, I can. I'm gonna press forward. 2, 3, 4, and then back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, press. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forward. Backwards. Forward. Backward. Now I'm going to sacrifice a little bit of hip movement, so that means a little bit of power, right? For a little bit more fluidity and moving forward, and maybe a little bit more speed. So again, I talked about how it's just zigzagging. I'm gonna have this one a little bit more forward and faster, more fluid, right? So right now I don't want you to think about striking as hard as you can. I want you to think about moving fluidly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I am still using my hips a little bit, but I'm not getting that same power generation that we talked about in class number 1. So keep that in mind. Again. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, cool. Left hand. Yeah, we're doing the left side. So, back to zigging and zagging. I'm gonna go that direction first. Left hand. 1, use the hips. Step off with the left side. 2, 3, 4. Moving back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forward. Again, I'm pressing here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forward. 1, 2. Try to keep that blade edge orientation. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Backward. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sacrificing a little bit of hip, a little bit of power, more fluidity, more straight line. Right leg's gonna step, left hand's gonna strike. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Forward. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4. Keep it going. Forward, then backward. Take a breath. So, I want you to start moving more while striking. I've really only taught, what is this, the 4th class, and I've only taught angles 1, 2, 3, 4. And then basically horizontal with Sinawalis. The reason why we're this far and I really haven't taught any other strikes is because these are the common ones, right? These are what you really need. If you actually want to go hit somebody with a stick, you don't have to do all these fancy strikes, right? You can if you want. They're gonna work, but you don't have to, right? Right now, all you really need is the ability to swing a stick in 4 different directions. By the way, 3 and 4, super hard to actually block. Most people don't ever see them coming correctly, so very good ones. But you don't need anything super fancy, but you need to be able to move, right? So just be practicing, right? Even if they're not even synchronized, right? I like this way for more power, but I might step this way. 1, 2, 3, 4. Sometimes you sacrifice power for fluidity, and sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you really want that powerful shot. Sometimes you want to not get hit and maybe hit them. So practice this, play around with it, play around with all the footwork patterns we've done, and just try to get more comfortable. Now, keep practicing, get this material down so we can move on to the next set of material in the next class, all right?